All right, we're live on the air. My name is Kim Mattina. I am a Google certified trainer and a top contributor in the G Suite for Education forum, and we're here live with Rushton Hurley on the Suite Talk. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Rushton is a former teacher, and he is also a former online principal at an online school. He is now the founder and director of Next Vista for Learning. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I would be happy to. So, my name is Rushton, and I run a little educational nonprofit. Nextvista.org is where you find it. And it's a library of videos by and for teachers and students everywhere, free to use, free to contribute to, free to download from. So I like to say it's my own little attempt to save the universe from ignorance, one creative video at a time. Ding. So what it is, though, is an opportunity to get kids really excited about the things that they can do with digital media tools. There's a lot of confidence building academically, personally, that comes from using tools like that. And so when Kim said, "Hey, it'd be cool to have you as a guest on the show," I was like, sure. So I know loads of folks are using Chromebooks, and so my goal is in this presentation to tell you a little bit about the digital media tools that are available in Chrome.
Oh, that'll be great. I think that'll be very helpful for our audience. So without further ado, why don't you show us what we can learn and what kind of tools we can use to create digital media projects?
Let's do it. All right. So you see in my slide, okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So here we are, like Google Tools, digital media projects. And of course, because I'm talking about digital media, you will understand very quickly that whenever I'm using any images, I cite them because that's the right thing to do, just saying. So there's my little nonprofit baby that I birthed, nextvista.org. If you get tired of what I'm saying, go over there, take a look. You'll find plenty of good videos there that have been put together by kids and teachers around the world. And then I'll also give you a link, as will Kim, in the show notes and all, so that you can get back to any of these slides. That will get you to all of the tools I talk about. And that, that's one of those things where, if you go to a thing and you end up having to write the whole time, that's no good. So I figure you get the link, you get the slides, and there you go. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about some audio tools. One of the first things to start when you're jumping into the digital media space is to think about, okay, what kind of audio tools are out there that are really, really simple? Can I get kids doing some good planning around audio pieces? Because the tools themselves are really interesting, but what's awesome is what we can get kids to see in terms of their own possibilities as a result of using them, right? So this first one we're going to look at is a tool called SpeakPipe Voice Recorder. All right, SpeakPipe Voice Recorder. So take a look. Here we are. And I love this for a lot of reasons. One is this green button is the only button. There's one button. So in terms of like figuring out what to do, not too hard. So you're like, well, I suppose to record, I'd press that. Indeed. So you click on that, and now we're recording all sorts of wonderful, profound things, and we're talking about profundity, and it's just all rather deep. So once you click stop, what it does is it gives you this screen where you have a play button and a reset and a save on server, right? And if you click play, you'll hear what you did. Click on that, and now we're recording all sorts of wonderful, profound. You know how that story ends. And if you like it, you can click save on server. You can click reset if you need to redo it, but I'll just click save on server. And note that it's optional. So your name is optional. I'll tell you this as well. I haven't signed in, right? I have no account. This is a tool that you can use with no account and without leaving your name. Elementary teachers in the audience, I hope you caught what I just said. So I'm going to click save, and what it does then is it processes what you just recorded. So it kind of does its thing, and then it gives you this link. And if you open it in a new window, what you'll find is that you've got this link to this recording that you just did. Click on that, and now we're recording. And it gets even cooler because right over here, you can download this as an MP3. So this free tool allows you to do some pretty cool stuff, right? You can do a quick recording of something that you've written up to explain your learning, or explain the story that you wrote, or explain your thoughts on the different pieces of the scientific method, with a lab you're doing, whatever it might be. You can really plan it out. That's the power for kids, is that they get a chance to hear themselves speaking. So if they're just writing something, they're writing it, and typically the only audience is you. But when you start putting something together that others can hear or watch, that's a different matter. And so being able to say, okay, yeah, this is something that we'll all listen to. Now suddenly the kids care a little bit more about their work. I've put it a particular way for a long time, and I keep saying it because I think it's important. When kids know that others will see their work, they want it to be good. When it's just for you, they want it to be good enough, and that difference is important. So that's one possibility here. SpeakPipe. A couple of little things about it. You can record, I think, up to about 5 minutes, although that would be a really long recording, just saying. And I believe that it stays on their server for 6 months. Although once you download it as an MP3, you've got it for as long as you want it.
This SpeakPipe I never heard of before. There's another tool that I used to use a lot was Vocaroo.
Okay.
And it's the same, it's very similar. It's an online audio tool that'll just allow you to record your voice. And it will give you a link so that you can access your audio online on their server. It does save it also for a few months, but I'm not sure how long. But it's the same thing. And I do agree. I think when students do hear themselves narrating a story or reading a story to themselves, or just listening to how they hear, I can't think of the right word, how they listen, they're listening to themselves read or recite a narration or whatever. I definitely think there's more ownership in their work. They do want to perfect it. They want to make sure that it makes sense, that people are receptive to it. So I also recommend using the audio tools for special education students too. Even for teachers to recite directions. You can always recite directions, and then students can replay the directions if they need to hear the directions again. And they can insert the link in Google Classroom or in another digital tool. So it's definitely a great resource.
Cool. And with Vocaroo, do you have to have an account to use it?
No account.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. If you want to take it up another notch, you need something a little different. And the Swedes have come to our rescue on that front. So some very cool Swedish people put together Soundtrap. And while I won't demo this one, this is a little like GarageBand online for free if you stay with a free account, which you can. You can do all kinds of great things with a free account. They have lots and lots of wonderful loops that and other cool pieces that you get if you pay for it. But it's a very nice tool, and one that would allow your kids to create podcasts or kind of much more involved interviews, things like that. You can also collaborate with people in different parts of the world. So you could be playing the drums in New Jersey, and somebody else could be playing, guitar in Tokyo, and all good. So Soundtrap is another one to take a good look at for sure. So moving from audio, let's look at the idea of digital books and kind of portfolio possibilities. And for this, I want you to take a look at Book Creator, and I'll show this to you. So Book Creator is something that's been around for the iPad for, 50, 60 years, right? But last summer, that was a joke, by the way. Last summer, that they released a Chrome version of this, and it's a really cool little thing. So here I am in my account. The free account allows you to make up to 40 books and create one library. Now, you might say, oh, well, I've got more than 40 students, right? I've got these 3 classes of 30 each, and I wouldn't be able to do that. Well, it's not the number of students, it's the number of books. You could actually have all 90 students in a library, and maybe they're working, in fours to put their books together, and you'd be just fine. Of course, the other side of the coin there is if you've got a kid who's really prolific and makes 39 books, then you've only got one left. But if you delete it, you're all good. So what this looks like, you have a cover of a book you make, and you can do things like put an image there. I found a cool image that I liked, and so like on the next one, identified what it is. Had I really been doing this right, I would have properly cited that source. I should go back and get an example where that's the case. But you'll notice over here on the right, I've added an audio tool too. So when you when you add something to Book Creator, you can say, well, I want to record my voice. And you end up with one of these little icons. It started smaller, but you can change the size, then you can play it.
Have you ever been to the Civic Theater? It's an amazing place. I once went there, and
you get the idea. All right. And so with this, the ability to bring text and images and audio together is really, really easy, quite nice. And if I want, I can even add video. So you can do the same kind of thing where you go to the camera and then choose video and record yourself right into it. So creating a simple digital book that has video and audio and all sorts of text things with it is easy. If you click play, you can kind of end up seeing what that looks like. So you flip the pages and there you go, right? And you might say, well, that's it, 3 pages? Well, you can keep adding pages. I believe it's unlimited on the pages as well, which is kind of nice. If you want to have more books and more libraries, you can pay them a certain amount, and that's fine. I think every company needs some way of making money, right? Or they don't stick around. So it's a great tool and certainly one to look at. And Kim, have you ever used anything like this before? Do you have a tool that you're kind of excited about with regard to digital portfolios or digital books?
I never used Book Creator before. I've heard of it, but I never used it. So this would be a really good application to use for digital portfolios, or if students are presenting like a anti-bullying project or any type of presentation along those lines, they can use this instead of Google Slides or PowerPoint or whatnot. This is a really great. This is a great tool. I'm really liking this.
Yeah, I love the good look of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. When you can share a link and people can kind of flip pages like that, that's pretty nice.
The link you can share and put the link right in Google Classroom.
Yes, when you share a book, you can save it as an EPUB, you can download it as an EPUB, or you can direct people to a link, and then they'd be able to play it even if they don't have a Book Creator account. Nice tool.
So the students would have to create their own account then. The teacher doesn't create a class and the students join her class?
Good question. So when the teacher creates an account and then creates a library, kind of like Google Classroom, there is a code to join the library. So students say, join as student, and then they use their Google account or whatever they want. And then it'll say the library code to join. And then the student would put that in, and as many students as you want to have in your library is fine, but you just have that limit on the number of books based on whether it's the free account or a paid account or anything like that.
Okay. All right. And then what about, now, did you say that you can download the ebook or no?
You can download it as an EPUB. I can't say that I've spent much of any time doing, working with that or, looking for an EPUB reader or whatever. I just like to use the stuff as linked web resources, right? So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if you're linking it in Google Classroom, there's no reason to download it. But some people like to have, they like to download it and keep it in their drive or whatnot. But this is a great tool. I've heard a lot of hype about it when it came out, but I never really experimented with it. With it at all. So this is very helpful. Cool. It seems like it's very easy.
Yeah, it is. One thing to know is that because it's so new in the Chrome version, and I can't really even speak to the iPad version. It's not something I played with. But finding kind of what does what takes a little work. When you're in it, for example, and you're editing, you have to know that this info bit right up here is an important thing to allow you to do much more. So if you come in and you start a little text thing here, so I say here's where the citation goes, and I'll say done. And so here's this thing. You might say, well, that's kind of boring, right? I mean, that's just like Arial and whatever, right? But while you have selected this, right, select that, select this, then you go to the info, and now you can change all sorts of things related to what you're looking at.
Okay.
In terms of having a drop shadow and color and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so, no, that brings out more details about the object. So that's definitely helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, cool. What about and this is the web-based version, right?
Correct. And specifically Chrome.
Okay, so it's not available. There's no app for it. You have to download through the web store or anything. It's strictly a web-based tool.
Correct.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. This is a good one. So let's shift over to video, and I have this slide in part because we're shifting to video, and in part because there's a link here: how to make a video in 10 easy steps, done by this kid who did a great job with it, and it's just a fun video. So like when you get these slides, go to this and watch it, and you'll be a better human being for it. But what I really want to talk about is Adobe Spark. Okay, so Adobe Spark is another tool that is free. It has a paid version, but the free version is strong enough to really be able to try it out and give it a good shot. I'm going to go over here to my Spark account. I am in the video tool. So the thing to know is that when you sign up for this free account, and I know it sounds strange that you can get a free account for anything from Adobe. You know, we're used to their software costing quite a bit,
money.
quite a lot of money. Right? I mean, it's good. It's really good software, right? But it ain't, say fire sale prices. No. And then they come out with Spark, which is free and it's amazing. And suddenly it's like, wow, check out Adobe. That's cool. Now, once you say, I want to start a project, it'll ask you, do you want to put together a post? So you can put together, Instagram posts or, social media posts, or a page. You can build these pretty cool web pages using its tool as well, or a video. And in this case, I've gone in and created a video. So one of the beautiful things about this is the first thing it gives you is a 60-second video reminder of how the tool works, which is pretty awesome. If you can capture a tool in 60 seconds, that's really good news, because if something's much harder to learn, it may not stick around because people won't use it because it's hard to learn. Which is to say, by the way, and this may be the single most affirming moment of my entire day for all of you. If you have ever been on an app or a website or anything like that, and you're just not figuring it out, and you're like, I just can't figure this out. That's not your fault. That's the company's fault for not making a tool you can learn easily. They're not going to stick around. Why? Because they'll go out of business. Why? Because people won't use their tool. Why? Because it's hard to learn. So that kind of thing. So at any rate, the beauty of this tool is its simplicity. At first, it looks like it's some kind of online, slide presentation tool or something, right? And indeed, when you're adding this, it looks like you're adding slides. So I created a slide. I added a little text, New Jersey, because Kim's in New Jersey. And I thought I would honor New Jersey with our little recording here. And then I did another one where I clicked up in the little plus and added an icon. I did a search on New Jersey, and it came out with a little outline of the state. All good. Did a search on New Jersey and came up with what may well be New Jersey as seen from Manhattan, maybe, not really sure, but let's just assume so. And you might say, okay, fine, that this is what you're all hyped about, this online slide. I mean, it's not bad, but come on. No, but it's this guy right here. This is what makes this totally cool. So now we just narrate, right? Here we go. So I'm going to make a little story here about New Jersey. It's going to be awesome. New Jersey looks a lot like this. And for all we know, this is a shot of New Jersey. Now, so I picked out some slides. I could add another one. I could say, I could add a little video clip, a little text, photo, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to say, let's delete that slide. Yes, delete the slide. And so now I have these things where I have recorded myself. Now, this is what the tool has done for us very, very quickly. Take a watch. So I'm going to make a little story here about New Jersey. It's going to be awesome. New Jersey looks a lot like this. And for all we know, this is a shot of New Jersey. Now, I think that is ridiculously fun and easy, right? Which is the goal, right? And then you can download it as an MP4 if you wanted to load that into iMovie or another editor. You'd be able to do that just fine. So nice tool. You can put things together very quickly. Typically, the idea is that you're narrating kind of very short bits and pieces on these different, we'll call them slides. They're really just clips in the video. And after about 10 seconds, it'll say, keep it short, which I think is kind of funny. But there you go. You can imagine kids taking pictures of artwork they're doing, and then, narrating the story of their artwork as they go. It could be pictures of a math problem they're doing, and they're explaining their logic as they go. There's a lot of possibilities with this, and I think it's a really fun tool. It's called Adobe Spark.
I totally agree. I can't believe how easy it is.
Easy is good. Easy is a
E
good thing for sure.
Yeah, is there an app for this now for the iPads? Do you know?
For iPads, there are three apps. Interestingly, so there is the Adobe Spark Video, Adobe Spark Post, and Adobe Spark Page. I'm sure of the video name, but I think the other two. I think that's what the other two are. So that's what you can get on the iPad.
Okay.
And it's a good tool there as well. It's just a little bit different, but easy enough.
Yeah, the apps are a lot different. Some of the apps are different than the web-based tools, so I don't expect it to be the same, but it's unbelievably easy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
definitely, and like you said before, if a tool is hard to learn, then the design of it wasn't user friendly. So, it's time to move on to something different, because really in the education, teachers don't have a lot of time to research and play around with different tech tools. They just need to get what they need to get done and move on to the next task. So these
absolutely.
three tools were definitely ones that I'm going to share with teachers at my school. I know one of teachers, she used Adobe Spark in her class
Uh-huh.
for her to create a presentation with her students, but I'm not sure what else she did with it. But yeah, I mean, it's really easy, and the presentation of it looks professional. Like,
Yeah, the combination of simple and looks good is kind of the sweet spot with these
and it's
things. I mean,
free. Like,
and it's free. You can upgrade to something that's a little bit nicer in terms of giving you more titles and themes and blah blah blah. One thing for elementary teachers to know is this does elementary and early middle. This does require an account. And you have to be at least 13. I've seen teachers sign up in workshops and say, these people don't need to know my birthday. I was born January 1st of this year. It's like, you're too young. Sorry, no account. It's like, oh no, sorry, I was just kidding. I'm a teacher. They're like, yeah, we've heard that before.
yeah, no. So this tool, you can't create a class and have the kids join using a code. It's individual accounts then.
It is right. It is individual accounts. They have something. There was some announcement they made fairly recently that had I really been on the ball, I would have looked up and found out. But apparently they've got kind of a good plan for the education space. However, you can also go to your IT person and say, hey, could you give me 3 more accounts? Like Hurley's class 1, Hurley's class 2, Hurley's class 3, and then my kids come up, if they're young. And they explain to me how they've planned their video, and they show me their script, and I approve their script. And then they can go over to, say, one of the 3 Chromebooks that I've set up over on the side and actually make their video on one of those accounts. So that's like another way to go about it.
Yeah,
I've heard
work around. Yep.
Yeah, some teachers, will ask parents to make account and give kids permission to use them to create things in class. I mean, not all will, but if you've got kids in groups, then maybe it won't matter. So there's a number of different ways to approach it.
Yeah, and I tell teachers in my school, well, I'm at a middle school, so we don't have too much of an issue with that. But in the elementary school, I recommend teachers to create a permission slip.
Yep.
And send it home and let the parents know what's going on and tell them what kind of project you're doing and what kind of tool you're going to be using, and give them as much information as possible about the project. And then if they give you permission for the student to use that tool, then you're good. You have the paper signed from the parent. But you always want to make sure, at least in my district, you always want to make sure you
Cover
get
your
permission.
posterior.
Yeah, you always have to cover yourself, because you don't want to expose a child out there when their parents really don't want them to be out there. So it's
That's
definitely not worth the repercussion of what can happen.
Yeah, we'll call it the repercussions. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So just to wind down kind of the last pieces on this, I also recommend Screencastify as a digital media tool for those with Chromebooks. It's a web-based screencasting tool that you can use. It's got a great free version as well. Nice stuff. Wevideo is probably the most sophisticated online video editor. It has a free version as well, as you might be able to tell from the
watermark.
The watermark is huge, which I know turns some people off. But you do get to use it enough to figure out how the tool works. So it does include everything that the tool provides, except the amount of time you would spend downloading things, right? So, or more to the point, the amount of video you can download. You can, under the free version, you can only download 5 minutes a month, which is limiting. Although I would recommend to anyone doing digital media projects that they keep the project short, and so that they don't download drafts. You know, they look at drafts together, and when they finally like their 45-second video or something like that, then download it, and that makes sense. So, you know, this really has to do with how students see themselves. You know, when we talk about digital media projects, we're talking about getting kids to be in that space of seeing themselves as people who can create cool things. That's the kind of personal and academic confidence builder that they need, and that we can bring into play when we're doing the kinds of you know, active project-based learning possibilities that those who are using Chromebooks well see in their students. So going forward, I hope that, you know, you'll give these things a look. Give them a try, and if you're really interested in things like video projects, then stay in touch with me, because we'd love to take a look at some of the stuff that your students make and perhaps highlight it on our nextvista.org site. Fun thing to do. Hey, looks like I wrote 2 books. Whee! Shameless plug time is what this is. All right, and so I wrote a book called Making Your Teaching Something Special, 50 Pieces of Advice that are in very short chapters that, you know, that allow you to kind of, you know, get better easily. It's the kind of thing you could read in just a couple of minutes in any of these chapters, and it's an idea that, you know, the core ideas that you get better by trying out little things as you go. Also wrote a book called Making Your School Something Special, about how to foster and to share successes in ways that build your team, build morale, build confidence. And I hope that those will be something that will be of interest as well. I got a little newsletter. Did I send you the newsletter link before? If not, then I will. And we'll get that so that anybody who wants to sign up for the free newsletter can do that.
Yeah, definitely send that to me. I'll put it in the show notes.
Cool. Yeah, the newsletter's free. You know, what I put in it is all of this stuff that, you know, that we have going as a nonprofit, new videos we've added to the site, projects going on, but also lots of freebies. You know, so stuff that you might want to watch or to listen to or to read or to try, and because people are busy, you know, they don't have time to kind of gather all this stuff themselves. That's kind of what the newsletter is about. So if you have some questions and answers, happy to you know, kind of happy to give the answers anyway. And here's kind of the last slide with some different things that I've got on it. So feel free to give that a look. I'll stop sharing so that we can kind of come down to that last little bit there. But Kim, I hope that's interesting stuff for you and all the viewers.
That was excellent. I appreciate you being on the show and sharing. I definitely learned something new from you, and it was very valuable. I'm very thankful that you were sharing here with us on this talk, on the Sweet Talk. Thank you.
Well, thank you for making this kind of thing available, right? You know, I mean, I think for a lot of teachers, there is a sense of, you know, I do what I do in my room, and I talk to my other colleagues at my school, but maybe they've never been to a little shindig, you know, whether it's an EdTech Team Summit or a, you know, state or regional educational conference, or even like a, you know, an ed camp or Coffee EDU. And once they get in that space and they start talking with people about ideas, man, there's a certain amount of like, why didn't I do this? Why haven't I been doing this for years, right? Because it's fun. It's fun. It's interesting. You begin to think, oh, you know, that's something. I've got this kid. This kid's like such a pain in my neck, but that would be great for that kid, right? And we have to have those creative moments of collaborating and brainstorming to get to the point where, like, oh, that's what I need to try with my little aspirin kid over here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the time that teachers and educators spend together just collaborating is valuable than sitting in the classroom and someone presenting information to you. I think that having a conversation with a group of people about best practices and implementing technology and, you know, content and standards is definitely more valuable. That's my opinion. I think the EdCamp model does show that. Even Twitter chats, I get a lot of information from my PLN on Twitter, and it's quick. I don't have a long drawn out conversation with anybody. It's, you know, if I need an answer, I can post it, and within an hour or so I get a response. And 9 times out of 10 it's accurate, because the people that I follow, they have the same interest as me. So I definitely it's actually, you want to hear something funny? I was at a workshop Saturday. On Saturday I went to Rutgers University. to learn about the FinchBot, because this year I'm teaching computer science.
Nice.
And so I went up there with, and there was only 16 other educators there in the room. So it was really personal. And they were high school and middle school computer science educators. And we got a chance to talk to each other for about an hour. And in that hour, I took so many notes from what they did in their class with their students, and just what works, what doesn't work, what websites they use, and what resources I use. It was just a great time sharing. And then we talked about the FinchBot, but I really think that's what we need. We need that kind of collaboration between educators and different people in the school districts, just to
And
throw
when
ideas out there.
right, you think about what you experienced on Saturday, and what it was to you. You're not talking about going somewhere and listening to someone blah blah blah. This is active. It's fun. It's interesting.
Because it's all people that have the same thing that you are saying. You all have the same thing in common.
Yeah.
And you're there for one goal. You're trying to make your students successful. So it's all about reflecting and changing, and and changing what you think is right, but you want to also reflect and reach all your students the best way you can. So
Yeah.
you always have to be reflective when you're in this field. So
And I think for a lot of teachers, that sense of change is kind of a little scary, but it's because there's a misunderstanding there, and they think, okay, change means that I'm losing things that I was doing well, and that's actually not what we're talking about. Usually, we're talking about, hey, what's that thing you're doing well? How do you build on it? How do you expand it in interesting ways? How do you help other people try it out?
Differentiate.
They come back and they're like, hey, I tried this and I did this with you. You're like, well, that's a cool tweak.
Yeah.
That's why this stuff's so valuable.
Yep. And I think that's why there's so much push for different types of professional development, and just people collaborating amongst themselves in different venues on a Saturday, coffee edu, just any time, because that's just the way the trend is now. Everybody's learning on their own time.
Cool. And if I may put one more shameless plug in, actually, the revenue that runs my little nonprofit is the work I do as a speaker and trainer. So if anybody's like, hey, we're looking for somebody that's kind of fun, that can kind of come out to the school and talk to the staff and hopefully inspire us to see some new possibilities for ourselves and our students, I'd love to explore that possibility with anybody interested, because it runs my little nonprofit.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely will help.
Cool.
All right, Rushton. Well, we're gonna end our show. If anybody has any questions or wants to contact Rushton, I will put all of his information in the public show notes on my website. And you will be able to contact him that way. And the link that he shared with us on his presentation, I will also put that in the show notes too. So his information will be there, and hopefully you found his presentation helpful, because I know I did, and I learned something new tonight too. So I want to thank you for joining us, and hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye.